Colorado to see Dr. McWilliams.
So my name is Christopher Broadbelt, and as you can see, we're in the lab at Jade where we do blood analysis and blood testing. So right now what I'm doing, I'm cleaning the slides because we have to make sure we have a clean slide so we can have a more accurate sample of the blood. So after cleaning the slides, I just place them inside this slide jar to keep them safe. We have the cover slides as well. And then this is the microscope that we would use to look at your blood to tell if you have any parasites, if you have any clotting of the blood, especially with those that's vaccinated. We make sure we do a special check for vaccinated persons with clotting because we find a lot of clotting in those persons. So this is a blood chart that we use sometimes. Get a close up. So when we see certain things in the blood, we will refer to this to get a more accurate tell of what's going on in the blood. So your blood can tell you basically everything that's going on in your body. If you have too much fat content, if your liver is bad, if you don't go to the bathroom enough, if you have blockage in your stomach, it will tell from your blood. So this is just one of the charts that we use to do that. This is also another chart here. So this shows you the different types of blood that we will see. We have your normal blood, which is nice and round. We like to call it donut shaped. Yeah, so once you have a donut shaped blood cell, red blood cell, we don't have any little swimmers around it, then we will say that it's a normal, it's a normal sample. But then when we get down to it and you start seeing different types of structures around the blood, or you see the blood basically looking like a teardrop, then you can tell, okay, maybe this person have a vitamin B deficiency, or this person isn't getting adequate sleep. And then if you start seeing the blood clumping, well, not clumping together, but stacking together, then you can say, okay, maybe this person have a digestive issue where they're not going to the bathroom every morning or going frequently. So these are just some of the things we see on a daily basis. And I haven't gotten into the protozoas and the trichomonas, which are parasites that we find in the blood.
I came from Colorado to see Dr. McWilliams.
So my name is Christopher Broadbelt, and as you can see, we're in the lab at Jade where we do blood analysis and blood testing. So right now what I'm doing, I'm cleaning the slides because we have to make sure we have a clean slide so we can have a more accurate sample of the blood. So after cleaning the slides, I just place them inside this slide jar to keep them safe. We have the cover slides as well. And then this is the microscope that we would use to look at your blood to tell if you have any parasites, if you have any clotting of the blood, especially with those that's vaccinated. We make sure we do a special check for vaccinated persons with clotting because we find a lot of clotting in those persons. So this is a blood chart that we use sometimes. Get a close up. So when we see certain things in the blood, we will refer to this to get a more accurate tell of what's going on in the blood. So your blood can tell you basically everything that's going on in your body. If you have too much fat content, if your liver is bad, if you don't go to the bathroom enough, if you have blockage in your stomach, it will tell from your blood. So this is just one of the charts that we use to do that. This is also another chart here. So this shows you the different types of blood that we will see. We have your normal blood, which is nice and round. We like to call it donut shaped. Yeah, so once you have a donut shaped blood cell, red blood cell, we don't have any little swimmers around it, then we will say that it's a normal, it's a normal sample. But then when we get down to it and you start seeing different types of structures around the blood, you see the blood basically looking like a teardrop, then you can tell, okay, maybe this person have a vitamin B deficiency, or this person isn't getting adequate sleep. And then if you start seeing the blood clumping, well, not clumping together, but stacking together, then you can say, okay, maybe this person have a digestive issue where they're not going to the bathroom every morning or going frequently. So these are just some of the things we see on a daily basis. And I haven't gotten into the protozoas and the trichomonas, which are parasites that we find in the blood.
I came from Colorado to see Dr.
So my name is Christopher Broadbelt.
Yahsonn,
Yep.
greetings and welcome to Medicine for the People. It's another Wednesday evening. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm your host Bankie and my other co-host Yahsonn Tafarai. This evening we have our usual guest, Dr. Charles McWilliams, and our special guest this evening, an agriculturalist. Especially when it comes to organic fertilizers, especially when it comes to making and stuff like that. A farmer, an agriculturist, as I said. Shawn, welcome to the Medicine for the People, which if you're first time listener, this show is all about traditional medicine, or we usually say bush medicine. And it's also partake when it comes to getting you up to a bachelor's degree in natural medicine and master's, and also is that a doctorate, doc? Is that is right? Is it fair to say that the next master's and a PhD? And at the same
Yes.
time, you can also get a chance to invest in more or less when it comes to Jade Wellness as a franchise that have a package for you. So definitely subscribe, share the link, let everyone know Medicine is for the People. That show is on, and it's every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Our time, local time. Definitely looking forward for the reasoning. Yahsonn, let me say good evening to the folks in the neighboring island, the folks in Liamega and Oli, Greater Period, which is the first time, as I said, that's an indigenous name for St. Kitts and Nevis. Not forgetting the folks in Sabre, Statia, St. Martin, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the BVI, folks over in Montserrat, Antigua and Barbuda, also the folks over in the diaspora, North America, Tennessee, Atlanta, Florida, all up to Maine. Greatly appreciate the guys tuning in. Also the folks over in Europe, also in Africa, Asia, wherever you're at, good afternoon, good evening, whichever is appropriate. Thank you for choosing Real Entertainment Network. And as I say, remember to subscribe where you'll get all the different shows. Coming up this Friday is another show, which is Fridays is the Everything Agriculture Show. And our special guest will be Dr. Professor Knife out of Jamaica, University of the West Indies, who is very versed when it into economics. So we'll be speaking on agriculture and where we can diversify the economy, just like tourism and such development. So definitely subscribe, share the link, and definitely Doc looking forward for the reason. Yahsonn, how you doing?
I am giving thanks and praises. It's a pleasure to be here on another edition of Medicine for the People with Dr. McCall and Dr. McWilliams, sorry, and his special guest this evening. I'm definitely looking forward to glean a bit from Master Shawn. And so We're both agriculturalists here, Bankie and myself, and so we would definitely like to learn more about, what you have been up to. And this sort of bridges that gap. I guess this is what we are seeking to do here, bridge the gap between health and agriculture, and definitely showing the significance of agriculture to our health. And so with that, I just want to say good evening to everyone and welcome Professor Charles McWilliams and Master Shawn to the platform. Good evening, Dr. Charles, and I guess we would then eventually have Master Shawn give his introductory statements as well. So good evening, Doc.
Good evening, sir.
Doc, I guess you want to give the topic. I never mentioned the topic, so I'll leave you to give the topic.
Yes, the topic this evening is all things alkaline, and we're going to give you some overview of the connection and the parallels between the health of the human body and the health of soil. And I want to thank my old dear friend and excellent top-rated student for over, I believe, 25 years now, Master Shawn Waechter, joining us from Canada, who has been to the Caribbean and Nevis many, many times and has even stayed with us for up to 3 months per stint. He knows the soil and conditions very well. He knows the people and the clinic and how we teach. So if you want me to go ahead, Yahsonn, I will give my musings for this evening.
Yes, definitely go straight ahead, and then we get into Master Shawn if you want to. Or if you want to allow Master Shawn to give a brief introductory statement and then you get into your musing, the choice is yours.
Well, I'll go into my musings first since it's fresh to my mind, and then we'll turn it over to Shawn because he'll get the topics that I've got on my head, because I never do one lecture the same. Everything comes right off the top of my head. I don't need notes. I just fly with it. So every Wednesday evening that we have these is a building process. So with each lecture, I give you one topic builds upon the other, and this evening is the importance of alkalinity for health. So let's just kind of review the dynamics, okay? We are animal creatures on Earth. We share the same physiology, more or less, as other mammals on planet Earth, and we are required to eat food, which is obtained from plants. So what do plants do to make the food that we have that we eat? Well, plants absorb sunlight, first of all. They absorb carbon dioxide, which is the expiration gas of other living creatures on Earth. And with carbon dioxide and sunlight, they combine that with the alkaline elements of the soil, called minerals, and they construct sugar molecules. Okay, so plants thrive with alkaline minerals, and with alkaline minerals and the synergy of sunlight and God's grace, they produce sugars in two basic forms. One is a form called cellulose, or a plant structure, which gives the plant, of course, the ability to stand up straight and harness the sunlight. And then secondarily, they also produce a sugar, which is fuel, which we know tastes sweet and tastes good. So we eat these plants, we eat the fruits, we eat the tubers with these sugar elements, and we obtain energy by combining it with oxygen in our cells, and we combust the sugar, as it said, or we metabolize it. And the electrons from the sun, which the plant has absorbed and imparted to the sugar, is given to our cells and gives us energy, principally in a form as is known as called ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. But the simple concept is the plant absorbs the photons of the sun, packs it into a molecule called sugar. The molecule combusts inside our cells and releases electron photon energy, and we use that to drive our organism and drive our energy systems. And we exhale three or four different types of composites. Number one is, what's very important to understand in human physiology is the body is an acid-producing organism, okay? And an acid is a molecule that has lost an electron, which in the case of the human frame, it has now become an electron that has gone into our energy system, gives us the ability to drive our nervous system, make our muscles contract, make everything happen in the body. And the refuse of that are organic acids. And those acids we expire back to the atmosphere, called carbon dioxide or carbonic acid. And the other acids are removed from the body in the urine. And what I call basic compost is feces, which is basically compost, goes back to the soil. And we return potash in acid back to the soil, and we return carbon dioxide back to the atmosphere, and that creates one big cycle. The carbon dioxide is again picked up by the plant and again is turned into sugar, which we eat, we deposit, we obtain the electrons, and carbon dioxide goes back. So in all of that activity that goes on inside the human body, we must maintain an acid-alkali balance in our blood, in our bodily tissues, and that acid-alkali balance represents what is called in medicine homeostasis. It's a steady state where the body is in a acid-alkali balance. The tissues are primarily, we can view as being slightly acid. The blood is always slightly alkaline. And that very delicate balance determines the state that we don't want to witness, called the emergency room situation. It's either called convulsions or coma. So when that acid-alkali imbalance goes way out of swing, like in blood loss or acute trauma, we either go into an extreme acidosis or an extreme alkalosis. Outside of that, there's this very narrow range that humans basically occupy on a day-to-day basis, which allows us to function smoothly. It allows us to think properly, to breathe, to eat, to have hunger, to defecate, to urinate. All of that is within a very narrow range of acid-alkali balance. Now, you may ask, well, how do we determine that? And it's very easy. In the clinic, we do that with simple pH paper, which is just a little strip of paper with a particular dye in it. And we sample the saliva and we sample the urine, because those are excretory products of the body. And we know that that range is approximately 6.5 or slightly acid. 6.5 or slightly acid. So we take the pH of the urine and the saliva, we compare the two, and that gives us a very profound aspect of understanding nutrition of the individual, because most sick people, as they become chronically ill, will drift into that acid state because their body is not getting enough good plant nutrition. They're not eating enough alkali that the plant brings up from the soil, and they drift into an acid state, and the body acid starts breaking down successively various components and tissue systems. The weakest link will suffer first, the strongest link will suffer last, and as the body slips into that chronic state of acid, they are now going into also a state, as we know, of alkali mineral deficiency, which means more or less in today's world, the plants that they're eating were grown in poor soil. They're consuming too much white bread, white flour. Plants have been grown in hothouses, hothouse lettuce, hothouse tomatoes. They're not getting the trace minerals that their body needs, and slowly over time, the urine goes from 6.5, which is normal, 6.5 pH, to 6, to 5.5, to 5, and then pain and disability enters the field of their state. So the more acid they are, the sicker they are. So we have two simple things we do in nature care. We take the pH of the urine, we look at the urine, it should be clear, not cloudy, not full of refuse and white particles and so forth. And it should have a faint odor. It should not smell disgusting or putrid, because when we know the urine stinks, the body is in a very bad state of ill health. They're not only in the acid state, but they're fermenting, they're putrefying, just like a dead animal on the side of the road. The urine's starting to stink because inside their gut microbiome, their soil, the body soil is in the gut, is fermenting, and it's making bad products that are being absorbed in the blood, and it's coming out the urine. So let me just pause there. Ask Yahsonn or Bankie, is everything I'm giving comprehensible?
Yes, definitely. I can relate to it, and I love the analogy between the gut health and the soil. And so I am definitely loving that explanation.
Yes, but
Yes,
how would one know that their soil is in the right, have the right substrate and macronutrients and trace elements and stuff like that, to make sure that they're eating and growing in an alkaline, have the soil have the right alkalinity?
okay. So I'm going to give my brief explanation, then I'm going to turn it over to the master agronomist, Shawn. But let's look at another analogy, which I think is very important, because diabetes is such a problem in the Caribbean today. People are eating a lot of sugar, but they can't even burn it. They can't oxidize it, which means their mineral alkalinity capacity inside their cells has reached a drastic state of deficiency. And that's because they've been eating too much white bread, too much white rice, too many demineralized things, that the plants that they're getting their food supply from are not being picked up by the soil. So plants make sugar. Humans ingest sugar. Sugar should be burned back to a final stage of carbon dioxide gas, which we exhale, which goes back to the plant. It's God's rhythm. Plants make sugar, animals consume sugar, animals return carbon dioxide back to the atmosphere. Plants pick up that carbon dioxide in their leaf structure, combine it with sunlight, they make more sugar. It's a natural psychogeny. So when the human is unable to burn that sugar and release that carbon dioxide, they are now releasing partial breakdown products, which are acid. So these organic acids like citric acid, lactic acid, even traces of sulfuric acid get deposited in the urine. The body becomes acid, 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 and sugar is being burned, less efficiency, less efficiency, less efficiency. And that extra sugar in the blood now has the ability to start feeding pathogenic bacteria and viruses in the body, and the human basically becomes sick. They become infected, and in time they will get parasites as a result of all of this. So that analogy now of the human sugar thing also is reflected in the plants, and the plant sugar is basically a direct portal of understanding the minerals that are in the soil equally as they should be in the human. To have the minerals to burn the sugar, the plants need the minerals in the soil to make the sugar. So it's a very interesting, simple parallel to understand plants and humans, animal metabolism, plant metabolism. And in our school, we get into the details of this because these, what's called metabolic cycles, the cyclogeny of how these structures are built up in the plant by sunlight and how they're taken down in the human by oxygen, they have unique parallels that make it easy for memory and gives you quick, rapid viewpoints of the nutritional status of patients, and also gives you quick viewpoints of how to grow food. So if everybody's following me, I'm sure Master Shawn's following me quite well. Let me turn that over to him, and let's take up Bankie's question. Shawn, with all things said, alkaline minerals, sugar in the plant, how do we know that that's happening in the soil? Sir.
Well, I think I was to introduce myself a little bit, right? Is that correct?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes, that would be great. Yes.
yeah. Well, anyways, I would first start off and say happy anniversary, Doc. I don't know if you know, it's 30 years ago this month that I first signed up as a student of yours.
Well, congratulations. And a great student you have been.
Well, and I still am. Anyways, have you talked about the refractometer and bricks in previous talks?
Yes, I think briefly we did in a previous. No, not in this. Not in these Wednesday night lectures. We have not introduced that.
Okay. What I guess what are indications of like that the soil may not be in a very healthy state would be what we call the bricks. That's BRIX of the plant, which is the percentage of sugar that the plant has. And unlike people, we don't want our sugar too high, but in the plant we want it as high as it can go. Okay, and with that, we also want the mineral. So on a refractometer, it's a very simple tool. It looks like the old microscope, just the lens that you look in, and then you hold it up. I don't have mine here right now. I didn't know we were going that way. Anyways, you get some sunlight in it, and it tells you the percentage. So bricks is exactly the same as the percent of sugar. So if it's 5 bricks, it's 5% sugar. If it's 10 bricks, it's 10% sugar. And what happens when you're looking at this device, if the line is real cloudy, that indicates mineral. And if it's straight across on the lens, depending on what the color, it's usually blue and clear. It will be just straight. There won't be a haze there. So what we're looking for is high bricks, high mineral. Now in the soil, what we want is a little bit of below the pH of 7, which makes it just slightly acid. That's showing that the microbes are working in the soil because they're producing, like Doc said, the CO2, because they're living beings also, the soil life. And if you've got soil life in there, they're producing carbon dioxide. And when carbon dioxide goes through water, what happens? It produces carbonic acid, which is slightly acidic. Okay. For most plants, we don't want them in the alkaline state, the soil, that is. Okay. It would be something like our stomach acid. We need to have that hydrochloric acid in our stomach to do part of the digestion. We also need like later alkaline in the intestinal tract, but we need that acid at the beginning, and that's what we are looking for in the soil. Now, if it's way too acid or way too alkaline, then we have problems. And what I found, like over the years, and many would line up with this, is that the most soils and most plants are mineral deficient. Okay, And the number one mineral is calcium. And most soils don't, and I'm talking domestic plants. Now, some of your herbs and some of what you might call weeds, and there might be specialty crops that might need something in particular, but I'm talking general right now. Calcium, 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 and then everything I would say comes off from calcium. Calcium and micronutrients, sometimes phosphorus. Usually we have enough potash in this.
Can you explain the importance of the calcium when it comes to the cell walls of the plant structure, especially tomatoes and bell peppers, the importance of that, and also what are the importance of the trace nutrients?
Well, the trace nutrients. Well, there's
and
probably
the macronutrients
over 90.
also.
Yeah,
and also the macronutrients. Yes.
Well, okay. Well, how's this for a summary? Would be
yes.
Seawater has the micronutrients in the same proportion as they are in our bloodstream. I think except for one or two. I think it might be sodium and calcium. The others are in the same proportion as in our bloodstream. So if we get kelp that's growing and you have it washing up on the beaches of Nevis there, if you take kelp has a very unique property. Kelp can grow in very polluted waters, and it will not take that pollution into its cell. Okay, if it's really polluted, it might be stuck on the outside or something like that, but generally it won't take it inside. So if we think about the micronutrients from the ocean, bringing that back and putting it on the soil that's been usually like washed away, leached away, and that's part of the cycle also, is it rains and it washes these minerals out to sea, really, down the river into the water table, whether we collect it as drinking water, washing water, but eventually it ends up down the river and right back into the ocean. If we bring that back to the land, there's most of our micronutrients. Okay, and by collecting the kelp and or seawater with the micronutrients in them and bringing it back to the land, we can satisfy most of the micronutrients. Now, soil tests.
What about seaweeds?
Pardon?
Seaweeds, sargassum.
Yeah, seaweed has it. Seaweed will take in the nutrients, and even in polluted waters, like it'll take in the nutrients, but it won't take in the poisons. It has a very unique property to it. It's smart enough, and so by bringing that back, you'll increase the health of the plant. Now, I don't know. Probably in the Caribbean too. If you have issues with your tomato plants, they're very high calcium producers, or consumers rather, and the tomatoes and the peppers, they need calcium, and with the rainfalls, like the minerals, the heavy minerals and the metals get washed out of the soil very easily, and they get down into the lower levels. So we need to like almost continually be putting them back on top of the soil, and don't mix them in too much. And we need the proper types of calcium to put on the soil. It's usually low magnesium. There's often very high magnesium, which blocks the use of calcium, nitrogen, that sort of a thing. Yeah, there are other ways, I would suppose, once it gets, like in the north here or in the more temperate areas, we would see dandelions. Dandelions are an sure indication of low calcium.
Yeah. The reason why I mentioned tomatoes and bell peppers, those crops are largely grown here as cash crops. used a lot in restaurants, homes, hotels, stuff like that, and usually they'll end up with the blossom and rot. So this
Yeah,
is
low
sudden change in as yes, go
low
ahead.
calcium and low calcium and micronutrients to go with it for sure. Maybe phosphorus too.
What about overwatering, underwatering, and also sudden change in temperature?
For the tomatoes and the bell peppers you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yes.
Yeah. Well,
When it come to the same disease,
right. Well,
if,
they have a tendency to like it like they want water, but they want it a little bit on the drier side, and especially when you get into your hot peppers. But you want to give them moisture, but not too much. Okay, and unless you get available calcium into them, and a lot of times, depending on the lab, if you send, they often do water soluble tests for soil testing. They'll tell you got enough calcium there for 50 years, and maybe none of it's available. So it's a matter of getting proper soil tests to determine.
So when you say the calcium is available, that's mean the pH. The pH is off, kind of pH with lactin. If the alkalinity is too high, the acidity more or less, the range. If the pH is over 6.8 or below 5.5, then some nutrients tend to lock in. So that's what you're talking about. If the calcium is not available, that's what you meant.
Well, that and it could be just in an inert form, like a form that it won't that the plants can't get, and because we're talking general here, you'd have to do soil tests to show that. But most of the time, it's leached out of the soil, or used up, or used up. When you're talking tomatoes and blossom end rot, that's absolutely and that's where I came in, was making products, and that was my first product I started with, and it's got calcium, molasses, and seaweed in it. So, and that usually fixes up most tomato plants and pepper plants, potatoes also, and other vegetables. So, yeah, that very important. That is to have the calcium, and I say the micronutrients with it, and phosphorus. I know Doc had soil tests done over at his place, and I believe you were fairly low in both of those, calcium and phosphorus. Is that correct, Doc?
Yeah, especially calcium. The soil requires, in the Newcastle region, requires at least a half a ton per acre to bring it up to snuff. And phosphorus, which means the ideal fertilizer would be soft rock phosphate, which is produced right here in Florida. It's part of the natural coral of the ground.
Yeah, and also when your tomatoes are in that state, or they're looking like they're going to go into that state, like the soil is also troubled, and it could be compacted. It could be and low in carbon. Like your carbon will float up, and your calcium goes down. Carbon's light, and in the tropics, if it's exposed to the sun, it's going to burn right off the top layer of the calcium. So it would be good if you mulch. The only thing, when you do mulching, you usually get a few more slugs. And
what about if, most people tend to do a lot of plowing. I don't usually plow. I mean, I just use a weed whacker and cut the grass, so the grass keep always covering the soil itself, so it just keep breaking down and keep building up the soil structure all the time, where some will go and spray, kill the weeds. I will just, my main tool on my farm is a weed whacker, and a cutlass and a pitax. So when it comes to going around the tomato plants or bell peppers or the sorrel or watermelon, it's just cutting around. So it's like the whole farm is almost like a lawn. So the earth itself is always protected. Wherever I'm planting, then you mow around that plant, and the weed you take back and put it back around. So the top of the soil is always protected. We are mulching, as you said. Whereas most people would be have their farm where the beds are, always look shiny and clean, where you can always, the soil is exposed. So no matter how much heavy rain is falling, my soil won't really move, go anyway. So my nutrients wouldn't leach as much as some farm that is exposed, where they're always plowing and stuff like that. So my beds are always covered with grass. So I can't reach 6-7 inches. I keep it low and neat and stuff. So that's how I do it.
Yeah, it sounds good. Now, at the beginning, when you plant a new crop, do you work up the soil good first?
No, I don't plow. I don't know. No. The area that I'm gonna plant, I may add manure, use compost, that I have my own compost bin. And then I'll still make compost tea, and I can run it through my drip irrigation and my fertigator. And I can also drench the soil with neem and my own compost that I made up with my compost tea, which will stimulate the mycorrhizas and adding liquid organic nutrients and stuff like that. So I have my own technique. So I don't use tillers and plows and stuff like that. I do minimum tillage.
Right. Well, it sounds like no tillage at all, really, just planting.
Exactly. Yes. I know tillage. Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
If I find the area having some. Yes. Go ahead.
Well, if you want, what I would recommend, you try some with just doing the tillage when before you're gonna plant. Okay, just till up some area, because getting that air, and it yes. doesn't have to be the whole. It doesn't have to be the whole area, but let's say, like a 3-foot path through where you're planting your tomatoes and your peppers. So get that soil yes. worked up and turned, okay, well, and loosened up before you plant your crop, and then then let the grasses will come in and that sort of thing, and putting some mulch around there, and put your compost tea, and then if you had some product to put on there of like Doc is using there, some soft rock phosphate, and I would put sugar with it. Like if you're putting your compost out, put some sugar with it, because sugar is going to be really quick food for the microbes and get them going again. Because if once you disturb the soil,
sometimes I'll add in molasses in the compost, add a little couple teaspoons of molasses, especially with potatoes and stuff like that. The sugar would help a lot.
Yeah, you're not really feeding the potato plant so much. You're feeding the soil life with that sugar. So
yes,
and that's really important to keep it fed. You could also put humates in there, or lignite they call it. It's mined in the soil. It's like a soft coal. It isn't coal, but it's upper layers. It's between peat and the coal layer, like peat moss and the
yes.
coal layer. Yeah, especially in the trough. But and another thing about plants are that like 80% of the dry weight matter of a plant comes from the air. Okay, we focus so much on the soil, and it's very, very important. Okay, but only 20% of the dry matter weight of a plant comes from the soil. The rest comes from the air. So by foliar feeding your plants with proper nutrients also really helps, because the leaves take in nutrients, and the ideal time to spray is when the birds are chirping. So that might be, around 5:30 in the morning, 5:30 at night. That sort of a thing in Nevis, if memory serves correct. That early morning or late evening before it gets dark, the birds are chirping. There's stomatas in the bottom of the leaf. They're almost like microscopic. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, the bottom of the leaf, they open up. Yes, the pores.
Yeah, they open up. Birds chirping opens them up, and then if you foliar spray with a fine mist, like they'll draw it in, and yeah, that can help greatly. Like even if your soil is troubled, and you go and do a lot of good quality foliar feeding, it does wonders for the plants. Absolute wonders.
So this is the importance of crops growing outside, like in this time here where the place is going to get real cool, we call cold here, where you have a lot of dew. We get real chilly, so when you get up in the morning, the grass and the leaves is soaked because the is so much moisture in the air. It's like it's raining. So stuff like that even is good for the plants. We call it dew, which I think you understand what I mean. So that is much less different than a crop growing inside in a shaded area in a greenhouse or protective cover. They wouldn't get those stuff on the leaves, except the plant that is outdoor within the natural environment would get all that dew on the leaves, where at the same time the stomata is open up and all that nutrients within the dew is taken into the plant. So you can see the comparison with how both plants grow. One inside without getting the dew, and one outside on a daily basis getting the dew, the comparison when it comes to growth and the moisture and stuff like that. As you say, within not just in the soil by the roots zone, but also the foliar part with the dew in the leaves, which help when it comes to intake of nutrients and moisture also.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. And the thing is, the higher the bricks. So once you get into double-digit bricks of plants, they can withstand drought a lot longer, because at night they will draw in the moisture. They become like a magnet. Like plants that are 5 bricks of sugar and lower, like in the lower single digits, I call them stupid plants. They could take in poisons thinking it's nutrients and store it. They're stupid. Once they get above that, they start to get some resistance, and usually 10 bricks and higher, like that's where they become more resistant, and maybe resistant to chewing insects. They become drought resistant. Not necessarily 100% that you're going to grow it in total drought, but however, you'll go out to your plants even in those conditions, and they'll have that dew on them because they've pulled it in from the air. They have the strength to do that, where your sicker plants or your low bricks plants can't do that. Like they'll still get dew on them in the season when everything gets soaking wet. But when there isn't regular dew, they can draw that in on your drier seasons. That's one of the ways that the plants can protect themselves and survive, but they need the nutrients. They need the proper nutrients.
Yeah. So any comments from the viewers? Your mic pause, Yahsonn.
I was saying I don't quite see any questions at this time. I did see a comment, but let's see. I did step out.
Someone was asking how the best way to get rid of sugar.
Yes, that was
someone was asking the best way of getting rid of sugar. What's the best way of getting rid of sugar?
the best way to get rid of sugar?
Yeah, doc, I guess, yeah, in the body.
Yeah,
Yes.
for doc, yeah, not. Well,
Diabetes.
we're
Yeah,
looking for
doc.
sugar in
Yes.
plants.
Okay, so let's just review a couple simple facts. A plant makes sugar, so a healthy plant will have a Hybrix, which is the juice of the plant put into a refractometer. Basically, tells you that the sugar content is good or high. That means the plant's healthy, which means equally the plant has been also absorbing the calcium and the trace nutrients to make itself a healthy plant. Humans, it's the opposite. A healthy human will have a low sugar because they're burning it and they're releasing carbon dioxide back to the atmosphere to complete God's cycle of the growth of plants and the consumption by animals, and life goes on. So healthy plant, high Brix, unhealthy plant, low Brix, sick human, high Brix, and healthy human, low Brix. So one is producing for the other equally. So when the human gets a high sugar content, you know they've been eating devitalized foods, and the sugar is building up, and the cells can no longer burn the sugar to its completion end stage, which is carbon dioxide. So when you want to correct that, the prolonged way to treat that for the long stage is, of course, to remineralize the body, to put the minerals back into the nutritional state. However, in the human frame, that typically is a slow process. So when you want to reduce the sugar quickly, we accelerate that with the catalytic properties of another component of plants called herbs and herbal compounds. And herbal compounds have a resuscitative value on the human frame, and that's the quickest way to get down sugar. So I'll give you a quick hint here on this. There's hardly anything faster to take sugar down in the human frame than good old-fashioned green beans. Okay, green beans, believe it or not. The Phaseolus nana plant, when you boil the green bean pod in water and you drink that water from the green bean as a tea, it has a rapid reduction of sugar in the blood and helps recuperate and get the body back into a healthy state. So green beans is one way that we do that, which is real simple. A second way, which is also very efficient, is cinnamon bark. Cinnamon bark has a very good property of reducing the blood sugar rather quickly. I'm talking within several days. You can take a high blood sugar diabetic patient and watch it go down 2, 3, 5 points a day at a time to get the blood sugar back into a normal state. And generally speaking, all of your spices have this sugar reducing capability. Turmeric is also very good for it. Your bay leaf is another plant that will bring your sugar down. Your fenugreek, your fennel, your caraway seeds, all the spices have sugar reducing properties and bring the body back.
What about mango leaves? Mango leaves.
Yes. Now leaves are a second stage of plant reducing products. They will bring the sugar down, but not generally very quickly. It takes several days, sometimes several weeks for leaves to do it, but they do work as well, and they sustain the body and are also good adjuvants to bringing down the sugar. And then
what about exercising? What about exercising and all that?
There's no getting around exercise. Generally, a diabetic patient is a lethargic patient. They don't get enough fresh air, sunshine, and walking, and good exercise. And that too is a very important and yet remarkable way to bring down the blood sugar as well. Absolutely, Bankie.
Beautiful. Yahsonn?
Yes, quite interesting and a very good question, because sugar is diabetes is one of the major issues that we suffer here in St. Kitts and Nevis and in the Caribbean and the region. And I guess a lot of it has to do with the diet. And I guess that's why, this show and this topic is so critical as we seek to address these issues and bring these things to light. From the Rastafari perspective, we would have been, highlighting a lot of these things and encouraging people to eat more vegetation, eat more leaves and more greens and so forth, and being on that, whether it's ITAL or macro biotic diet, that's what we sort of push forward. And so it's just quite interesting having the doc being able to encourage people with the same message as well, because sometimes people pay more attention to the messenger than the message sometimes, and so it's good to have different faces sharing the same message and seeking to reach a wider audience and wider scope. And so tying agriculture and the health aspect is very critical, especially with food security being a food, sovereignty being a very serious issue at this time. So quite engaging discussion, and I really love, the way the discussion is going so far. We've got another comment. Evergreen says 1000% agreed, and it's exhausting. So
Yes. And one other way I forgot to mention, there is no quicker way to precipitously drop high blood sugar than to just basically start juicing any plant that's green, whether it's cabbage, bell peppers, spinach, kale. All of your green plants are very high in chlorophyll, very high in trace minerals and nutrients, and they have a remarkable way of reducing the blood sugar. Just a simple 4-ounce glass of green juice twice daily will go a very long way to get sugar down.
And
What
Doc,
what are your secrets, Shawn?
Doc, well, not only just the soil, but I would say is to get out in the sunshine of Nevis, because so many people are indoors these days, right?
Yeah.
And as you know from the clinic, the vitamin D level of the people in Nevis is generally very low. And usually you're putting them on vitamin D, right? Right? You're putting them on vitamin D, and unlike us who have the white skin, we don't need as much sun to make the vitamin D. But the darker your skin, the more time you need to be out in the sun to make vitamin D. So, get your shirts off and get your short pants on. There was a naturopathic doctor who wrote a book called The Daylight Robbery, and he always said to get out in the sun and take as much clothes off as is legal, and get that sunshine. So I would encourage that, because I find it phenomenal.
Well, I guess I'm getting. I guess I'm getting too much because my shirt is always off on the farm. That's a normal thing for me.
Well, you're probably one of the exceptions. That you can. Because just that alone, and then the sweating that you get in releases poisons and toxins, right? Which a lot of times are your sugar cause you sugar issues. But going back to the plant, if you have the bricks up in the plant, your nutrients go up, your amino acids they go up, and they're more balanced. So what happens is, you don't eat as much. The animals don't eat as much of this, of the high bricks food with mineral when the plants are healthy. So when a person eats that, and Doc, he's nodding his head there, it may not take them out of the diabetic condition 100%, but however, I'm sure it would help. And if they were eating that all along, they wouldn't be in the diabetic condition, or not as severe.
Absolutely.
So definitely what we're
both
hearing
of us,
here.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was just
like
saying basically what we're hearing here is that the diet, what you eat, and the soil plays a very critical role in our health, and especially for us. Well, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, but seemingly the soil and having a more alkaline based soil would add to your pH being on the level at least close enough to the level where it should be. And you should be aiming at more of a alkaline based structure than more so an acidic structure.
That's correct.
So
That's absolutely
okay, so there is a theory from Dr. Sebi. How much of that do you subscribe to, in the sense of seeking to ensure that your body is more alkaline, always alkaline, and also he speaks to foods that are specific based on, I guess, your geographic location. Where he spoke to, he used an example of, I think it's the gorilla and the polar bear, and spoke to, based on where they are grown, the type of food that they may eat versus the climate and the temperature and so on. So what are your thoughts on that? I don't know if Shawn is familiar with Dr. Sebi's theory, or but I think the professor, we would have spoken a bit on that. So I don't know.
well. It's
are you asking me or Doc?
Both, but I guess whichever one answers first, and I guess you could also give your view and opinion as well.
Go ahead, Doc.
The acid alkaline balance observation, which starts as theory, but once you practice this for a long time, like me, it's no theory; it's direct. You can make amazing assessments health-wise in people just by looking at their pH of their urine and saliva. So overall, those theories are absolutely correct, and the alkalinity of the body is a direct marker of the mineral content indigenous within the body's cells that are able to sustain life. Now, the secondary concept of that, which Master Shawn brought up, which is a great analogy, is calcium is the wheel of life. Okay, it is the wheel of life, both in the soil and in the human frame. So as people become acidified over time, once they reach adulthood and then they continue to eat poorly, they demineralize, and it's very evident by what's called osteoporosis. Their body, as they get to an age of like 45 or 50, they will start living off their bones because they don't have enough alkaline calcium intake going into their diet. So they start leaching this calcium off the bone, basically to maintain a balance. But in the long term, of course, a decalcified body over time precipitously gets not only osteoporosis, but they also get arthritis, they get high blood pressure, they start having all kinds of problems and breaking down. When you can look at the original precipitating condition of all this is basically a lifelong diet of poorly mineralized food, not drinking enough water, not keeping alkalinity of the body proper, not getting enough sunshine, not getting enough vitamin D, which of course the vitamin D is one of the principal regulators to absorb the calcium from the diet. So all of those factors kind of blend in as you get older and you look at the status of the individual. So yes, those are absolutely true. And your second observation, Yahsonn, which is very clear, is the regional food that you eat is also important, because think about it, the gut microbiome is heavily influenced with the intake of the bacteria that you actually eat that's coming from food. Food is not sterile by any means, okay? Plant leaves have built-in bacteria that are protective to the plant. And when you eat the plant that's in a good, healthy state, that bacteria goes right into your gut and becomes part of your microbiome. So if you're eating foods from very distant regions that have been grown, for example, wheat that's been grown in the Middle East or in Europe or Ukraine, and you're here in Nevis, you're eating wheat coming from a different region of the world, you're eating also a different bacteria that's coming from a different region of the world, and you may not necessarily be adapted to that. So the regional foods are very important because the very soil that you walk on, the dirt that's in your home, the air that you breathe, the bacteria that's in your environment, all of this is part of your microbiome. So it's important to eat as many foods as possible that are grown locally to stabilize your microbiome and live with Mother Earth, live with the soil. That strengthens your immunity. It keeps your gut healthy. It's just a natural way of looking at life and being right there. And I'm sure all of this is built into the Rastafarian concepts of vital eating and food, and it's just common sense, and it's all basically biologically true.
But if it's simple common sense, so why is it not the health promotion or the health ministry is not encouraging more backyard gardening and pushing agriculture in such a way it can help make a great impact within the tourism sector or the local community? You say it's common sense, but we're just not seeing this. We're seeing these the companies, the agriculture department selling large amount of pesticides, herbicides, gramaxone, glyphosate. So where is the common sense? I just don't see it. We are more heavily into pesticide use, overplowing of the land, and creating a lot of leaching within the soil and all these different stuff. We are not into mulching and I mean, you see what's going on here. So the government itself is the highest seller of the pesticides. So how this going to work when the department itself is not leading by example? The agriculture department not even have the what?
Follow the money.
You said
Just
follow the money.
Like
Jeremy
if the
Maguire
government said, "Okay, everybody, we're going to give you, whatever, a dozen packages of seeds, some plant food, and some instructions. Here's some videos. Here's a couple of books. Grow your own food. What's in it for them? Like if you look at how much they're paying for all those chemicals, the people, to poison themselves and the earth and their animals, for that matter. Yeah, and they are.
Well, that's why we're all here, Bankie, is because it's a matter of self-education and taking care of yourself and your immediate family. I mean, after the COVID epidemic in the United States, the American people are in this very state of rude interruption and culture shock because they now realize that the government and the control of the health of the people, which is controlled by government, is the worst avenue of maintaining your health. So there's only one thing left to do, and that's educate yourself and start spreading the gospel of good nutrition, good health, sunshine, fresh air, water, common sense, compost, manure, backyard gardening. Just get out and do it. What say you, Yahsonn?
Well, some kind of tend to say one thing: agriculture is our salvation. I just want to leave it right there. I guess I got to put that on a shirt.
There's no amount of tablets that's going to correct a bad intake of diets, whether you're already healthy and you want to maintain it, or whether you're sick and you want to get some back. There's no amount of tablets that's going to correct the bulk intake of food, which is the primary fuel of the human body. Vitamin tablets help a lot when people are sick, but to sustain it, you've got to correct the original insult, and that's why we're here on this program. And we have a great opportunity with the both of you, Yahsonn and Bankie, doing this program and being so dedicated to God's work and the bounty of nature. And here I am, and I'm bringing Master Shawn to the table. I have another student that we'll see at another program one evening, and that's Gray, that, Shawn knows Gray quite well. He's another wealth and resource of knowledge, being involved heavily also in the organic food industry and also being a nutritionist, as is Shawn. So we're here for all of you. We urge you to get involved in our school, start learning these principles. They're not difficult. Just because you think it's medical school, don't think it's difficult, because we take a very basic organic nature of looking at the body, and we're not fooled by the so-called science. We're not fooled by the complicated formulas and all of the chalkboard diagrams and all of those things. We're not fooled by all of that. We can see the simplicity in it. It's valuable. It's good. There's no question about it. But we don't teach it separated from nature. We teach it is part of nature. Right, Shawn?
Absolutely, Doc. If I can learn it, anybody can learn it. How's that? so yeah. What Doc has, yeah. Again, it becomes common sense, and I would call it a lot of the things that Doc has dug up are so simple. They're very esoteric, and they're very different. Once people catch on to it, they won't let go of it, will they, Doc? They stay right with it. Yeah. Well, I have, and we really appreciate as students and graduates of SMOC and Jade, everything that Doc has done and put into this school, because as well as learning the soil and the plants, I've learned the health of people also, and have done that. So.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And it's I'll say it and I'll say it again. What makes me knowledgeable? Well, it's simple. I read books. Okay, and the knowledge has always been there, but it has been suppressed. There is no question the universities have suppressed a lot of this knowledge, because when they teach you to become a farmer, they don't want you to teach you how to become an organic farmer and take cow manure. They want to put you out in the field and buy those pesticides and buy those fertilizers. That's what they do.
Yes.
They're teaching you to be a doctor. They want you to prescribe those drugs and order those laboratory tests. That's where the money is. And that's not the way. So we basically, in our school, we preserve and we cherish the work that other people before us have done. It's all there. Like the first book that Shawn introduced me to get my head into the soil aspect, is that book called Bread and Stone. You remember that book, Shawn? I'm sure you still recommend people read it to this day. Stone.
Yeah. Bread from Stone. Julius Hensel. It was the author.
Hensel. Agricultural genius. Farmer in Europe.
In the 1800s, yeah, 1850, 60 or something, yeah.
Well,
so what he was. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish up.
I was just going to say, in a summary, what he was doing was, because we're talking mid 1800s, he would take stones and throw them into a raging fire, like boulders, whatever you want to call it, sizable rocks, throw them into a blazing fire, get them really hot, and then throw them into the water, and they would all split and break apart, and he would take those particles and spread it on the soil, and that's how he made his rock mineral fertilizer, and then got incredible results, which were the bugs didn't eat the plants anymore, and the plants were producing fruits and vegetables that tasted really good. I don't think he had a refractometer at the time, even though it was invented, I think 1880s, Doc, wasn't it? Something like that, the refractometer? Yeah.
Century.
Well, anyways, it would have been high bricks and high mineral. So that's what we're talking about, that book. So yeah, go
Yes,
ahead.
and equally, those communities in Europe where they ground flour with stone meal, they put a big rolling rock on a piece of stone and they'd push it around in a circle. And as that stone
Just like,
ground that flour down, it was also grinding trace minerals that was coming off the stone. And diabetes was absent in those cultures because they were getting all this heavy mineral nutrition, not just from the flour that was organically grown, but the stone dust that was getting mixed in with the flour. They had no diabetes because they were all very mineralized people. So
we had this thing with the corn mill with the big stone to turn the corn here. This, but all
yes,
those are done with.
there was very little diabetes on Nevis back in the 19th century because you cooked your bread with hot stones, you ground your flour with and all of that. So it's just tie these simple concepts into what the stark chemical reality of the dynamics. That's basically what we teach. Common sense, common sense,
Well,
common sense.
Doc, it's quite good that we are doing this because it's like I mentioned earlier, as Rastafaris, we would have been ridiculed and persecuted in the Caribbean and so on at the early stage, and so a lot of things that is associated with Rastafari, like the Ital diet, like the agriculture, and it's sort of looked down on still to some extent. So it's pretty good to have you who are seeking to maintain that and actually highlighting some of the things that we would have been highlighting, but would be given a bit more credence coming from you who are trained, and Shawn, who is a master agriculturalist. And so it's good to have both of you here doing this. And I want to encourage folks who are on island, in the Federation, in the Caribbean region, and even on the wider globe, to log into this program, sign up, start getting the training, be a part of this movement so that we can continue to do what is absolutely necessary at this point. Encourage folks to start to grow their own food, grow organic food. And Shawn, I want to, we definitely have to connect and see how we can get some of these agro organic based products that you're manufacturing and making into the Caribbean and into the region. So we might have to look at some of distribution or something like that. But I definitely feel like topics like these sometimes we do need maybe 2 or 3 hours to even go through these things, because it's unbelievable that we already have gone through 1 hour already, and it seems as if we're just touching the skim of the surface. So it is important that we have these discussions, and I am hopeful that we would have shared the link in the group chat, and I'm hoping that this can continue to work as a means of adding to the course material that is going to be provided, and to help to wake up a lot more people and get them more conscious in terms of looking after themselves, studying your body, studying what you eat, looking at where what you eat is coming from, and putting all that together and really focus on that. It's kind of tough sometimes doing this because preventative education is not necessarily something that a lot of people pay attention to. Most people, especially on the health side, wait until they get sick, and maybe when the doctors,
I have a caller here. Let me get in this caller, Yahsonn.
Yes.
Caller, good evening.
Good evening again, Bankie.
Yes, good evening.
Am I on the program live?
Yes, you're live.
Yes.
Okay, good, Bankie.
Yes.
Enough respect to you and to the guest. But Bankie, when we are talking, if we are going to talk homegrown backyard gardening, I think that should be something separate and apart. I really believe that if you are telling the people that you have a 25 by 25, that could mean homegrown and backyard gardening. I am believing and hoping that when we are talking agriculture, we are talking agriculture on a wide base, where people can benefit and people could produce for sale and to feed themselves. Every time I hear about this agriculture, even from the government ministers, they are always telling, the backyard garden. Backyard garden is something, Bankie, that I would do in my backyard. If I produce too much for myself, I would give away, I would sell a little to who might want to buy at the time. We must talk about agriculture on a wide base. I remember the federal government was talking 25 by 25. And next thing they come up with this tobacco. We met somebody outside there who said they want to sell tobacco. Agriculture is a wide base. We feed ourselves. And we must, who in the country could say, well, the government gave me a plot of land. The government helped me fence a plot of land. The government brought in some other things. And before we had during Bratcher time, before we had independence, these man, you remember Kaki and Beno and all them man, they went Guyana and brought in and come back with some ideas. While Tibo were up there by Rams planting, we were feeding ourselves. And now we got this thing about agriculture and the backyard garden. They plant two banana tree and they get 2 bunches of banana. That's not agriculture. I like to see agriculture on a wide base. We plant some coconut trees because we lost the coconut tree and Pinnis Beach. We plant some down castle. Then they're dying out. What are we doing for agriculture? So if we are going to talk about agriculture in the backyard, let me say that. If we are going to talk about agriculture on a wide base, we got to say that. Can't mix the two.
Thank you.
Agriculture and small business being punishing. Fisheries. Bankie, tell me where neighbors will go and call a man and tell you on a pound of fish. As we used to buy it on Saturdays or anywhere. They die. We could go and get some meat, some mutton. They're dying.
Abattoir.
Backyard thing in our work with me.
Abattoir and mutton.
In our work with me. So if we are going to plant something for ourselves, or we're going to plant something for the country, we got to know how we want to run agriculture. I don't like to hear this conversation with backyard because people plant in the backyard every day. One last point.
Yes.
We have a 3 months crop. We got a 3 months crop. We have a 6 months crop. We got a year crop. 9 months for bananas. We know them thing there. We ain't able to go good. Right now it's soil time. And people tell you soil is scarce. Because people are fighting to plant the backyard. Agriculture have no meaning. And small business, they only talk about them. And I'm fed up of that now. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. I appreciate the call. Yahsonn?
Yes, Bankie, I don't know. Maybe the caller got in a bit late and didn't recognize exactly what the discussion, really was surrounding, because we were not necessarily just limiting the discussion to backyard gardening, but we were suggesting people growing their own food, because we are talking about your health and medicine and tying your medicine with your health and growing your own food, or at least eating as local as possible. So if you're eating local, we're thinking not even just from the local farmers, but you're even in a better state if you can grow it for yourself using the organic and natural practices and so on. So that's just what we were seeking to highlight in this aspect. So this wasn't necessarily a totally agricultural conversation where we were looking at agriculture holistically. It's just that we have Master Shawn, who is an agriculturalist. We are with Dr. McWilliams. We are seeking to tie that. Dr. McWilliams is the natural health medical professional at Jade in Nevis, and also operates out of Miami, Florida. And he is here with us as we are seeking to launch the one-of-a-kind medical opportunity or health medicinal health, natural health opportunity for you to get a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and you could actually even go on up to the doctorate. But we are starting with the bachelor's program starting early next year in 2026. So this program is sort of a part of motivating, encouraging, and creating content that will be utilized for the program for those who would be a part of the program. So with that, Doc, we would have already run over the hour, and we really want to thank you for choosing us to provide this program, and also to actually use this as a means of conducting your course and using it as course material. This is quite impressive. I don't know if people really understand how deep this is, because what we're doing here is not just a live conversation, but this is actually course material that we're actually creating live with the people. So I want to say thank you, Shawn, for being here, and the knowledge and the information that you would have shared with us. Thank you, Doc, and I do look forward to, Shawn, continuing this conversation and seeking for ways in which we could get some of these products that you're developing out in St. Kitts and Nevis and also throughout the region. So distribution, scenario we can look at. Doc, we look forward to the next discussion, and you can also use your wrap-up time to make a pitch to those who would be interested in signing up and being a part of the course material or the bachelor's program for next year.
For next year, we have the online school of natural medicine, which was the first online school of natural medicine in the world. Believe it or not, started in Nevis in 1996. We were the very first school to go online with course material, and it's been a progressive growth ever since. We have over 300 courses online with our online Moodle platform. It's all self-contained. There's no extra books that you have to buy. Everything in the program is self-contained. We have video material, we have audio material, and we have written material, and we utilize all three. This is not a normal school of natural medicine. There's other many schools of natural medicine that you could take online courses with, but these to us are what I would call simple Simon courses. They're just basic coursework. They will not teach you how to dig in the soil like Shawn knows how to do, and they will not teach you how to actually see patients like I do on a daily basis when I'm in Nevis Island. So we are the rubber that meets the road, and we have, I feel, and many people have said down through the years, we have the best materials in the world when it comes to the subject of natural health, natural medicine. And in addition to that, we know how to teach it on top of it. So everything's self-contained. It's really a gift to humanity. Similar programs, I just got an advertisement in my email box today. We are charging $500 per semester. Average schools of this nature charge $2,000 and more for what they teach with their online programs, and it doesn't even compare to what we're doing. So you're getting a very valuable opportunity right now to take advantage of this program. And I love what Yahsonn says. This is not just an educational program for you to take to get a new career opportunity. It's a movement, okay? It's a back to health movement. And it's up to us as Caribbean people to be a shining example and not take this Western failed medical model, okay? Western medicine is a failed medical model. Just look at COVID. Look at what, they can't cure the common cold. They can't cure cancer. They don't even understand what it is. It's a failed model, and it's a failing system. And people are rebelling against it. And in the Caribbean, we have a beautiful opportunity to show the world that we live back to nature, we live down to earth, and we have sunshine all year round. We can grow all the medicines we need right within the islands. So let's move this movement forward and make it run.
Shawn, your final comments?
Well, just listening to the last caller that came in, if it helps, like I work with people that are, whether they're growing 1 or 2 house plants to professional growers with acreage and helping them out, whether it's cropland, orchards, vineyards, whatever it is. So
You teach the
to me, it doesn't matter.
You know,
Pardon?
you teach the Amish how to farm.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like when I go visit the Amish and the Old Order Mennonites, after about an hour and a half or 2 hours, me talking there at the table under the kerosene light, because the Amish don't have electricity in their house. I said, "Are your heads spinning?" And they would nod their head, yeah. And then I would leave. They had big smiles on their face, right? Or we change from the agriculture and have some popcorn or something that they're cooking on the wood stove there. So life is about having some fun with it too, right?
Yes, definitely.
You know, so I say I work with anybody, whether it's the Amish, you know, they don't even use tractors; they use horses and to plow their fields and cultivate their fields and whatnot, or yeah, whoever. Somebody's doing indoor plants. I think they're all important because plants are so important to us. Yeah, you can tell me to be quiet here.
Yes.
Indoor or outdoor plants.
Beautiful.
Plants are part of our life, right? And they have beneficial.
Yes,
you're singing to the choir here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're singing to the choir. But it's really
I hope I'm in the right key. The right
yeah, man, you're good.
You definitely are.
Yeah, man.
We definitely would have to organize you. We definitely would have to organize you to come back on an edition of Everything Agriculture. There's another program that we do that's called Everything Agriculture, and I think a lot of what you have to share would fit into that space, and we would have more time because that's a 2-hour show actually. So you can get an opportunity to talk more about some of what you do and some of the products that you have developed, and you know how they can fit into the Caribbean space. You also spoke to the fact that you have been on Nevis and spent some time on Nevis, so you would have an idea of what things is like on Nevis in terms of the soil and things like that. So we do look forward to having you back. So Doc, I'm going to put you in responsibility of working out things for us to get Master Shawn on another edition of Everything Agriculture. Folks, we have given you and some extra time because we know the information that we are sharing here on this program is very, very valuable. And so we do want to make sure that you take in as much as possible. I know some people are just glued to their chairs and wishing that they could hear more, but we do this like a soap opera. We keep you in suspense until the next edition. So we are going to keep you like that, wanting a little bit more until we get into the next edition. Doc, it seems as if you wanted to say something before we wrap, so you can say that and then we will just make our exodus.
Well, I just want to thank you and Bankie for the wonderful program and the opportunity for me to help people and reach out and get a movement going in the Caribbean, which is the region that I love. I've been on Nevis for 36 years now, and I'm a Caribbean man. I'm a Nevisian. So let's continue this legacy and make an impact on the world and be an example.
Thank you. And folks, we want to thank you all for tuning in with us this evening on another edition of Medicine for the People. We do look forward to having you on Friday for another edition of Everything Agriculture. We will have Professor Knife from the University of the West Indies who would be on with us talking a bit of agriculture and economics and how we can use agriculture as a viable economic means to create and generate lots of revenue for the Caribbean. It was done before by the Europeans, and so now we have the lands. We can organize and should be able to organize ourselves to do a lot more, and to also not just create money, but as we are speaking about in this discussion, maintaining our health and making sure that we have people who are living for a very long time and living healthy and could contribute more to our society. Because if you're healthier, then you could contribute to the society much longer. So we thank you very much, and we look forward to having you next week. Next week, Tuesday, we'll have another edition of the topics. We should have the People's Action Movement leader, Natasha Gray Brooks, who would be in with an interesting edition where I guess we'll be looking also at the SSZ and things like that, and how they would have, what are their position and stance and all that. And so that should be another very interesting edition. So we just want to continue to encourage folks to log on to Real Entertainment Network. We stream simultaneously on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch TV. So you can always, we want to encourage you to go on over to the YouTube platform and subscribe to the YouTube platform, because that's where most of the content would be stored, as Facebook in more recent times is, taking down the videos after, I think it's a month or 60 days or something, or 30 days, something like that. So to maintain the content, if you really want to go back to listen to this, maybe 3 months down the road, somebody said, man, you didn't hear that show? Well, go on over to our YouTube platform, subscribe, like, and share. See you guys on Friday. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Shawn. Thank you, Bankie. Thank you, Real Entertainment Network team. Okay. We seem to still have the program running. Is it so
Shawn, you
still?
can always click out. Yeah, let me see if we get. Go ahead, Yahsonn.
Okay, well, I don't know. It seems as if we're still here, but but no, Shawn has already gone as well too. It's just his image is there. So we just want to say thank you guys very much. The person who spoke about sorrel, Bankie would be harvesting sorrel pretty soon, so you should be able to get some, maybe even by weekend. There's a number of other things that would be harvested. I think he's also harvesting cassava at the moment, and I guess some bananas, some planting. Take a visit to Shaba's Organics. You drive down at Mansa's last stop, and you can check them out. You can also check out Veggie IHOP, pharmacy, which is just next door as well. We do have a lot of ground provisions and a number of other services, and a place for you to just chill out and kick back. I'm setting up a new location. I have not really revealed my new location as yet, so to speak. I'm not opened there yet, but Tafari's Plant Sanctuary and Ita Lounge is loading. And so we're going to be, keeping you updated on what's happening in that space. So we look forward to having some very interesting activities at the Ita Lounge and Plant Sanctuary. So look out for more information as we, get closer to the end of the year and or in the beginning of the new year. In the meantime, we're just planting up. We've got in some sorrel. We got some watermelons. We've got some okras coming. And we also have some pumpkins coming. And so those are the 4 crops that we have. We do have some bananas as well. We do have some jelly sometimes, young coconuts, coconut water. But we're setting up. And we have some plants available. So we still have plants. We have plants available for sale. We've got some nutmeg plants if you're interested in getting nutmeg plants. If you're interested in avocado, we've got some dwarf coconut trees. We've got sugar apple. We've got soursop. We've got pomegranate. So the number of plants, that we have available. Just keep checking my Facebook page or Tafara's Plant Nursery page, and we will update you accordingly on what's available. So, folks, we are not just talking about agriculture and talking about food security and food sovereignty, but we are playing our part. This is an example, what we're doing here by seeking to, marry agriculture and health as we team up with, Dr. Charles McWilliams of Jade Herbal Health Clinic there in Newcastle, Nevis. And we are doing what we can in terms of seeking to bring that and bridge the relationship between agriculture or farming and medical health. So, folks, we are about to log out. I'm just waiting for the cue from, my Real Entertainment Network team. But in the meantime, we're not going to give you dead ear. So I'm just going to stay here with you and keep you, busy and active. But I'm definitely loving this program. I'm hoping that folks, start tuning in Wednesday. It's a new show. But we're going to be doing it at least the first 3 Wednesdays in the month. And then we skip one. We did this because there was one Wednesday that Doc missed because he had a little injury at that time and he was unable to make it, and so we make up for it this time. But it's going to be 3 Wednesdays in the month that he will be here, and the information that's shared here is not just left here, but they're also used as a part of the course material for the university session, the bachelor's degree program that is organized and put on by Panam universities. And so I am taking the course, and I am definitely going to be looking to get myself certified. I'm hopeful that many of you here who, is getting this opportunity, he mentioned the price, where other folks are charging like $2,000 and so on. He's only charging $500 because he really wants as many people as possible to get it. He's not getting much younger, and he really definitely wants to be able to pass on the information and share the information and share as much as possible before, that time comes when he has to leave the physical space. So people, take the opportunity. I'm definitely going to take the opportunity. There's so much that this doc is doing. I mean, like, I've visited the clinic, and I mean, even some of the equipment that he makes and manufactures right here in Nevis. So there's so much things. I mean, he shared with us that his university program is one of the first to ever started. Since 1996, his program is they're going. And here is it. This is 2025, and I'm just learning about it. And so I could just imagine how many more still don't know about it. But now you know. I know you're learning about it. I'm hoping that you can, take advantage of what is being offered and seriously consider your health. Because at the end of the day, your health is your wealth. And the better you are in terms of your health, the better you will be able to, take care of your health and take care of yourself and be more productive in the society in which you exist. And, the healthier you are, the more productive you can be for a very, long time. Yeah, Bankie, we still haven't.
Yeah, I already communicate with Alan, so he gonna come through and sort it out. But just
Okay,
remember,
no
this Friday we have Professor Knife, as you mentioned earlier, Yahsonn. He will be our guest this Friday coming up, so definitely spread the word. This will be a very, very, very interesting show. Professor Knife have hundreds of thousands of followers, and definitely looking for this reasoning as we're about to embark on this development with the SSZ, and we're going to on tourism, and we're about to show them how our approach when it comes to development, because tourism mean real estate. It means losing your land for large development when you could have development in a smaller area. But these developers are coming, they want hundreds of thousands of land, whereas it's like this is almost like colonization. So your people get a lot of the landscaping job, the golf course land, the cleaning of the rooms and all this different stuff, and a few management position. And then they import all the management position from overseas. So it might as well we build our hotels ourselves in smaller space, develop how we want it to be developed, and we manufacture our own work for our people. We got to start to move in terms of this way and stop thinking we have to always bring in investors when we have our own developers right here who can do a much better work, much better job, have a more better keen interest within our environment. So that's the way we should be looking at things in this time. And when it comes to protecting our land, we only this small. But definitely also, you can come on the farm, check out the farm. We have sugarcane, star fruit, pomegranate, cassavas, cucumbers, short one sorrel. We're going to start harvest tomatoes and bell peppers and seasoned pepper within the next couple of weeks, along with watermelons and so forth. But you still have green bananas planting, have green papayas. It's a lot, you understand. You have dog, jujube, and all and stuff like that. So it's a lot on the farm, lot to see, lot to walk out, a nice place to chill, relax, get out of the office, and come and wind down at Shabazaka next. Also remember from Thursday at the shop Mansell's last stop, the kitchen will be open where you have your food, you have your soul food. Friday you have cook up, today you have ground food and stuff like that. And on Saturdays you get your car meal and fish and your different chicken and different choice of meat as you want. And the same thing on Sunday, soul food also. So from Thursday to Sunday is soul food cooking, a nice place to chill, watch the vehicles pass, watch the SWAT, and tied up the front, you just maneuver to the back same way. See, one space, two different environment. Yes, we're still waiting on Paco. So you might pass.
We're ready. So, no, I'm saying the queue is playing in the background, so we're ready. So until then, people, see you on Friday with another edition of Everything Agriculture. And next week, Tuesday, Natasha Gray-Brook. Enough love, everybody. Guidance and I text you.
I came to Colorado to see Dr. McWilliams.
Good day, Doctor.
I came to Colorado to see Dr. McWilliams.
Good day, Doctor.
I came to Colorado to see Dr. McWilliams.
Good day, Doctor.
I came to Colorado to see Dr. McWilliams.
Good day, Doctor.
I came to Colorado to see Dr. McWilliams.
Good day, Doctor.
I came from Colorado to see Dr. McWilliams.
Good day, Doctor.